So some of the topics we're going to talk about today are a look back. So where did credit card processing come from? Who is involved in a payment processing process, right? How does it happen? When somebody presents a credit card at a business, real quick, what does it look like? The sales process as a whole, the funding process, the different types of credit cards, the pricing, and what the different pricing plans are. We're going to hit on that one pretty heavily, so that everyone understands as they get into business and are in business, what those different pricing plans are for payment processing and how they occur. Some terminals, smart saving, and preparing for the unexpected. So a little bit of redundancy built into your business. So 60 years ago, there was a diner inside of a department store. That diner offered the opportunity to come in and have a little breakfast while you shopped. Many people went in there and had breakfast and lunch or dinner. What happened was somebody didn't have the ability to pay, so they forgot their credit. They forgot their cash. So an IOU was created. That IOU made those people, the merchant themselves and the person that was receiving the IOU, think about, hey, what's another way that we could ensure that the sale could occur and that you would get payment promptly, and that a smooth transaction could occur for the payment of services rendered. And that IOU turned into the first credit card, which was the Diners Club card, which is still in existence today, believe it or not. Not as popular, but certainly still available. I believe Discover now owns it, and they're out in Chicago area. The good thing with using credit cards as a merchant is it usually translates into a higher average sale. So when somebody uses a credit card, generally speaking, they're going to spend a little bit more than if they were using cash and or a debit card. And obviously, as you can see on the screen there, the credit cards are now rewarding usage of utilizing those credit cards. So consumers love to earn points towards whatever they want to use them for. And that also translates to higher average sales. That also translates to more usage by the consumer. So accepting cards across whatever services you're providing is pretty important, so that you can take customer payment from whomever may want to utilize a card. So the 5 key players in a transaction utilizing a credit card are the card holder, of course, and the merchant, the business that accepts the card itself, and then the payment processor, who also sends the monthly payment and routes the transactions and delivers the payment authorization. So there's a whole network that is connected in the background. So when you swipe the system or you tap the card or whatever the case may be, as far as taking the payment, there's a huge network going on in the background that allows for that payment to be delivered. So the card issuer, what's in your wallet? There are a couple of card issuers out there that deliver the cards. And then there's the card brands, Visa, MasterCard, Discover, and American Express. All of these guys, Visa, MasterCard, Discover, and Amex, they establish the card rules and how the businesses accept cards. And we'll get into that a little bit more. So the entire process when a card is utilized as a business is 2 to 6 seconds, which is a faster transaction than actually using cash. So it also adds for efficiency in your business to accept that card, especially retail locations or point of sale locations. Card holder presents a card. The business takes the card, puts it through the system. The card brand is recognized first. The issuing bank ensures that the credit is available on that card. that bounces back to the payment processor, which is us, who then approves and sends that approval along to the merchant. And to speak a little bit to this process, many times, our customers will call us and say, my machine's broken. A large majority of the time, there is nothing wrong with the machine. It is actually the credit that is available to that particular customer. So we're going to get into some numbers here, and those numbers are going to show you what the current rates are. And these are the standard rates. So I mentioned earlier that Amex, Visa, MasterCard govern what the cost of the card is going to be to a merchant. As you can see on this screen here, this is exactly what the cost is based on the minimum amount charged by the credit card company. Anything above this is what the merchant is charging, or not the merchant, but the payment processor is charging. So, and we'll get into that a little bit more later on when we get in. We're going to really dig into what this pricing model is and what the costs are and the savings could be. So a debit card is just a nickel to utilize. So when you're at Wawa, if you're from Pennsylvania, and you stick your card into the gas station gas pump, and it takes the card and it wants your debit number, this is why, because it's only a nickel for every $100 that is spent utilizing that debit card. If you're a Costco member, you'll also notice the same thing. They want you to use debit because it's the least costly from the merchant's perspective. And then as we go down the line, the standard credit card is $1.54 per $100 spent. Rewards cards is a little bit more. The signature card is a little bit higher. And then the corporate card is the highest of all. So I'm going to get into the pricing models. This is just two pricing models. There are several models out there. There's also flat rate pricing. But what I'm going to talk about today is pay per swipe. Pay per swipe basically means that your account is completely free, but when you utilize the account, we're going to charge you for utilizing it. Interchange plus pricing is what you saw on the previous screen. So this is what they call interchange. So this percentage or this cost per card is what's called interchange cost, or the cost of using the card. Interchange plus means that the merchant is providing interchange plus a little bit more. So that's how much more profit their their service is costing, I should say. So pay per swipe is generally a set percent, and that set percent is what happens every time you utilize a card, no matter what the card or how the card is utilized. So think back to the previous slide. If they're using a debit card and it's a nickel per 100, they're still charging you $3 just to utilize that card. So take that into a certain amount of transactions per month, and I think you get the math and the picture pretty quickly. So there's no monthly fee to utilize it. Yeah, that's a great benefit, but there's no good customized solutions. You have to use the product the way that it's built. And that can have some of its own issues, especially if you're looking for a customized solution or something very specific to an industry, let's say with SKUs. If you have multiple products or services that you're using SKUs with, kind of a shopping cart style, they're not going to be able to support you from that perspective. It's just going to be, you're going to have to connect and then do some more development on your platform in order to get the product sold the way you'd like it to be. So if you notice at the bottom here, there's an example of a $100 transaction. It's 3%, so that's $3 for every transaction. So interchange which is the cost of the card plus a small percentage on top of that, is the card brand fee and a fixed percentage fee on top of that. So when negotiating Interchange Plus, you negotiate that with the provider, they'll set a specific fee or cost in order to utilize their services through their payment processing network. And what happens here is the processing fee will be added on top of whatever the card fee is. So you see it was $1.54. Remember back to the previous slide, that was a credit card. Oh, well, sorry, I went the wrong way. I'm going to go back real quick. $1.54 was the standard credit card. So that's the credit card charge or the standard fee just for accepting the card. And then whatever percentage the payment processor is charging the merchant themselves. So $1.62. So that's almost half the cost on a $100 transaction. Again, look at that as a multiple of multiple transactions per month. And again, the math can be quite differing if you're a $10,000 business, $100,000 business per month. And the nice thing about working with an independent as opposed to a company like PayPal or Stripe or Block is that they can customize, generally speaking, they can customize a solution for you. And we've done that many times. So that's a nice option to have if you need something specific built for you. So PaperSwipe simplifies the fee structure at the merchant's expense. So it costs more for the merchant to utilize a PaperSwipe model. You can build that into your pricing. That's great, but now you're charging your customers more, which can create a problem. As you know, many things commoditize these days with the internet and being able to check prices against other similar products can create an issue for your business, and you don't want that to happen. A set percentage above the card fee keeps the merchant from overpaying. So the best choice is the Interchange Plus pricing. It makes it easy to see what the merchant is paying on a monthly basis. So if you negotiate a contract and it's a set fee, you're going to know month to month based on your transaction what that cost is going to be. So costs that always appear and do not change are the billing fee. So when you're out in the marketplace and you're looking for a payment processor, there are many fees that come along with that. Some of them extraneous, some of them are doing business utilizing credit cards. So what we're speaking to here on this slide is the fact that you're going to have a billing fee, right? That's the cost of doing business or with a credit card and accepting payments that way. There's going to be monthly minimums that may need to be met. And then there's going to be PCI, which is payment card industry charges. So anybody who accepts credit cards has to be PCI compliant. That's a payment card industry standard for compliance. And every business handles that differently. I can tell you that independent service providers sometimes offer that service to get you certified, and it's a one-time fee for the whole year. Other companies may take that out on a monthly basis to keep the PCI compliance updated, and other companies will charge you an annual fee. Most of the times it's hidden in the bill and they won't tell you it's coming, and all of a sudden you'll see, hey, PCI charge is there, and you're like, what is all this what is this added fee, right? And then there's other assorted fees that can come with it, but there are standard fees that should be on the bill. And you should always double check your payment processing billing to ensure that there aren't any extraneous fees on there that are just margin for the payment processor. Oops, I keep going the wrong way. Sorry about that. So different types of payment processing devices. I'm pretty sure everybody's pretty familiar with the one at the top left there, where you wave your card over the top of a device and takes payment, which they call now tap. And there's a smart chip that's inside of the card that allows for that to occur. These are very popular right now. We have a lot of customers that have switched over, and you can see I'm going to call specifically to the what looks like, I'll call them radio waves. Might be showing my age there. At the top left hand corner of the bottom left side of the card there, that speaks to the fact that it can talk over what's called near field communication. So if you wave the card close to the device, it can communicate to the device and allow for payment to occur. So very popular, right? Touchless or contactless, which is a big word. The last 2 years is very popular, and we see a lot of our retail spaces have switched over to these types of devices. The second one, which is more to the right and has a big green and red button, that's a Bluetooth device. This Bluetooth device can be paired with a mobile phone, and then the mobile phone provides the network connection so that the payment processing can occur. So you can dip the chip, you can or dip the at the very top. That's the ability to dip the actual credit card into the device. You can slide it, and or you can also just type in the amount that you want for the credit card. So it's nice to have this when you're at an event, let's say, and you have to take a payment. We have customers that utilize these that, let's say, have a golf outing, and there's a putting contest, and they want to be right. They want to take credit cards right on site. Well, they now have the ability to do that without having to run a cord and all this other stuff. They can just connect it to their phone and then take payment from there. Our other types of solutions are web-based. So you see the little shopping cart at the bottom, the shopping cart or add to cart logo there. That allows for, and e-commerce shopping carts allow for multiple products to be sold. People add them to their cart and then go through the payment processing once they've selected what they may be interested in purchasing. And then lastly, on the right here, this is what is an invoice. Our platform offers the ability to send an invoice to a customer. So that invoice, so you can, maybe you'll take a phone call and somebody wants to pay over the phone. You can actually type in all of the card information, first name, last name, and then send them an invoice and then they can pay accept it over the phone, and or you can email an invoice to them and request that information via an invoice. So 3 ways a debit card can be used is over the phone, PIN entered, and signature. So you can see here that those rates can be different based on how you accept the PIN. So the flat rate pricing is when you put the PIN at location. A debit signature is when they sign, and then a debit over the phone is a little bit more costly. And I'm going to get into why that is the risk that's involved for the credit card company to take that payment and accept that payment. So there's standards that are required. Again, Visa, MasterCard, Amex all require a certain amount of information in order for a credit card to be accepted at a business. That, depending on the amount of information that is contained in that transaction, is going to also affect what the rate will be when utilizing that card. So what does that mean? What we do for our customers, and this is where the consultancy aspect comes in, is we ensure that they are gathering the right amount of information, the way that they are accepting credit cards, so that they get the least amount of charge when using that card. So for instance, I have a customer come into my business and I sell them a widget. That widget costs $100. Well, I take the card, I take the information, and I don't include the zip code. Well, there's going to be a cost for not including the zip code in that transaction. There's going to be a cost for not including the zip code and the address. And of course, those costs go higher as the risk increases, because the more information you give to the credit card companies for that transaction, the less risk there is when that transaction occurs, the less chance there is of fraud to occur. So there's definite reasons why these regulations are in place, is to protect not just the merchant, right? So that they don't have to go through a huge process in order to figure out who it was, what time it was, if they have any other information on them, and try to get payment, and or to call the payment processor, and then the payment processor call the credit card company, and it's a huge time consuming deal. So again, what we try to do is provide our consultancy as a service, so that all the information is gathered right up front. That information includes everything that you need in order to be the cheapest cost possible when utilizing and taking credit cards. So I hope I explained that clearly. And you can see here, these are a couple of samples. When missing only one piece of information increased the cost by 0.5%. And it really is dependent on what that specific piece of information was that was not included, whether it be the zip code, whether it be the address, whether it be the name, all those different things. You'll notice that when you go to certain or utilize certain companies, for instance, Amazon, they have all your information in their database, your zip code, your address, your name. They ask for the CVV numbers, which is the security code. All of that information totally changes the cost of that particular transaction. So a big thing to ensure when you are a merchant and taking payments is to be sure that you have all of the necessary tools so that you can take payment. So power outages, phone outages, and internet outages always occur. So that's another reason why our Bluetooth device is very popular, is if the internet goes out, it's generally centralized or regional. However, if you have cell service, you still may have internet service, right? It's not provided by an ISP like Comcast or Verizon. It's a cell service, and it's over cell towers. It's very different. So that's another reason to have backup and or have another option, so that you can still take payment if it's a face-to-face situation. As I mentioned earlier, stay compliant with payment card industry and data security standards. We are a level 3 data security standard company. Always ask if you're out there and you are currently pricing providers, what is your data security and or data security standard level. We talk about prevention. So redundancy, any way to create redundancy is a great way to ensure that your business doesn't lose the opportunity to make a sale. That's it for me as far as the slideshow goes. I like to keep it brief and share information very specific to the payment processing and the costs that are associated with it. Generally, what happens is there's a lot of questions because people are running their business in a very specific and or different manner, customized manner. So I like to offer the opportunity for questions to occur. If anybody has a question, please feel free to unmute or put it in the chat box and or the Q&A, and I will be more than happy to try to answer your question the best that I can.
Yeah, we don't have any questions yet in the
Okay.
Q&A box.
Okay. Well, hopefully that means that I delivered the
You just-
information and everybody understood it perfectly. That would be great. That means I did
There
my
you
job
go.
today.
Marie's got one.
Oh, here we go. Good. Excellent.
Do you want me to read that, or can you see them?
I'm looking at the one in the chat box from
Yeah.
Danielle Morrow. Can you please explain what the 3 levels of data security are? Absolutely, I can. So the different levels of data security are level 1, level 2, and level 3. And that speaks to the compliance standards that each data security company is governed by. So some companies may have only 1 or 2 compliances. Other companies, depending on what the situation is, will have more. So what does their exterior security look like? Do they have cameras in place? Are there access badges? Are they PCI compliant? Are they maintaining their compliance? The DSS security standard. There's many standards that data security goes by. And what does that data center look like? What does the building look like? All those different standards are part of the different levels of data security. So I hope I answered Danielle's question. I will look in the Q&A.
Then Marie asked, do you have any recommendations for accepting credit cards from a service company that goes to our client's home? She's in the construction business.
Oh, yeah, sure. So we recommend that Bluetooth device. It's simple. It makes it easy for the person that's taking the payment. So what we've noticed is a lot of companies utilize it for that type of service, air conditioning, heating, services that are at site of residential homes. And so they take the Bluetooth device out. They can take payment at point of service after they've completed the whatever the service may be, a heater cleaning, for instance. We just had a guy out here ourselves. So those Bluetooth devices are great for that. Very simple to use. You add an application to the device, to the phone. That application pairs with the Bluetooth device and allows for card to be taken on site. So very simple. Not much information needs to be typed in, if any at all, depending on what kind of card's being used.
Then Lori asked a question as well. She has a service business in the home, and she's asking, what is the average percent a business should pay for credit card processing, and also the average transaction fee?
So I'm going to go back to the slide because in my humble opinion, oh geez, I went into your slides. I'm sorry.
It's just, hopefully you can just go backwards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry, and the person's name was?
Lori.
Lori. So if you look at this slide here in particular, and these slides will be available to anybody who wants them. So I don't know who, Steve, if you'll send them out, or somebody from SCORE will.
Yeah, Denise should be sending those out along with the recording.
We can certainly share these.
Okay.
It's no secret. If you notice in the middle line or the top line that has the percentages, these are what's called interchange costs. So that's the cost as a merchant just to accept the card. And then anything above that, so this particular slide, depending if you use PayPal, Stripe, Block, or Clover, the percentage could be 3% on top of that minimum, or a flat rate fee. What the point of my conversation is that there's the minimum cost for using a regular credit card. There's the cost for what a payment processor could charge. So the total would be $1.62. That is, I'm not even sure what percent that is. It's probably a little over 2.5, maybe maybe a little bit less than that percent overall of what the card costs to accept for a business. I hope that helps. Maybe, you know what, I think that's like 1.9. Anyway, it's very minimal, right? It's very minimal, as it should be, right? What you'll find is many companies will come in, they'll speak a great game, tell you it won't cost you anything, and then there's a bunch of hidden fees when you get your statement. So just be aware of that. Ask for a sample of a statement so that you can understand and go through, and or a quote. The quote would be able to tell you, and we provide quotes to all of our customers, in that they understand exactly what the fees are going to be before we even sign a deal. So
Okay, so Lori is saying using Stripe, it's 2.95% plus 50 cents transaction fee.
yep.
So, price
Yep, and those transaction fees go up and down. They govern those as well. I didn't know it was that high now. It used to be a quarter, I thought, per transaction. So that's ridiculous, in my own opinion. I feel it's sometimes you're paying for the convenience, right? You want to make it as easy as possible for you to be able to take payments. And that's what some of these companies do. Is PayPal has a nice software front end and allows you to be able to take that payment. But in the end, you had to conform to their way of taking the payment, and they're charging you for it.
So Marie asked, any recommendations for clients to pay their invoices by credit card? That is, click on the link to pay now. She has commercial construction jobs, or when the residential client isn't home to pay on site.
Absolutely. So we have the ability from our particular platform, I'll speak to that now, is that we send and we can email a link to a customer. That customer clicks on the link when they have the chance and pay whatever the bill may be for that particular service or product. So it's very easy to use. We have a lot of customers that use it, specifically in the construction world, roofing and such, in that it's usually multiple payments. It's an easy way for the customers to get, for the contractors to get that 1/3 up front, and then 1/3 usually. So absolutely, there is opportunity there and options there for emails to occur and payments to be paid. You can also, and I'll speak to this real quick, you can also create a pay now button on your website. And that, if you click on that pay now button, it will bring up a credit card page that will provide the opportunity for the customer to put in all their credit card information and make a payment. So there's multiple ways. We also have, and I'll talk about this real quick, the ability for a URL to be in your email signature or below your email signature for the ability for a customer to pay. So every time you send out an email, there could be a URL underneath your signature that if you need to pay now, you can.
Great. Dennis has a question. Is there a cost-effective way for accepting credit card payments when the use of the credit card payments by the customers is infrequent?
I'm sorry, is infrequent?
Is infrequent. So maybe they pay by account or some other method, and credit cards is something they don't do very often.
Oh, I got you. So yeah, there's a cost that you need to weigh so what a lot of small businesses do is utilize PayPal services because there's no cost to have an account. But you pay when you use the card. So you can have an account, not be charged a monthly fee, and be able to utilize the PayPal service to accept credit cards. That makes sense for a small business, couple $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 a month. When you get above a certain threshold, It's time to start looking at other options as far as payment processing, because the cost for utilizing that service is going to really cut into the margins that you're looking for.
Great.
Hope
Thank
that
you.
makes sense.
Thank you. Okay, any more questions, folks? I don't see any on chat or Q&A. Well, I think, appreciate that, David. I always learn when I listen to you through this, so I appreciate that.
Sure.
So-
No, thank you for the opportunity. I always enjoy this aspect of the business because it offers the opportunity for people to get educated and to ask questions about their business specifically. So we really appreciate that opportunity. Thank you everyone for joining today, and thank you SCORE and Steve for having me today.
Great.